If somebody has committed a crime, arrest that person and take him before a court of law, charge him. So anybody giving instruction to a police officer that, oh, kama mtu na karibia police station, piga risasi, shame on you. Shame on you.
June 25th, 2025, Kenya is rocked by nationwide protests led by the fearless Gen Z movement. A controversial directive from Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen sparks outrage. A shoot-to-kill order targeting protesters. Former Prime Minister Raila Odinga steps into the fray, condemning the directive as unconstitutional and dangerous. Today we unpack the heated clash, the events that led to it, and what it means for Kenya's future. The June 25th, 2025 protests marked the one-year anniversary of the 2024 Gen Z-led uprising against the Finance Bill 2024. Thousands of young Kenyans took to the streets to demand accountability, better governance, and justice for those killed in previous demonstrations. But the day turned tragic. According to reports, at least 19 people lost their lives, with hundreds more injured, some reportedly shot by police. Property worth millions was destroyed and police stations were torched in the chaos. These protests weren't just about remembrance. They were a cry against ongoing issues, a high cost of living, unfulfilled government promises, and a growing sense of distrust in state institutions. But it was Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen's response that set off a firestorm.
Na tumeambia polisi, mtu yoyote mwenye atakaribia police station, piga yeye risasi. Mtu yoyote. Lakini mtu mwenye anajaribu kuenda kuiba bunduki, ati anaenda kunyang'anya polisi bunduki. Shika mtu amenyang'anya bunduki. Ama mtu mwenye anatupiwa mawe polisi anataka kuua polisi, ati atakuja kubembelezwa. Unafikiria bunduki ni mandazi?
On June 25th, as protests rage, Kipchumba Murkomen issued a statement that sent shockwaves across Kenya. Speaking in Kiambu County, he said, as I quote, "When someone comes to the police station and wants to take over the government's office, the police gun, and your life, shoot him." End of quote. These words were widely interpreted as a shoot-to-kill order, giving the police a green light to use lethal force against protesters. Public reaction was swift and fierce. Civil society groups, legal experts, and human rights advocates accused Murkomen of endorsing extrajudicial killings. The Law Society of Kenya's president, Faith Odinga, called the remarks as reckless and warned they could fuel lawlessness.
The only way out of this stalemate today, it is not the tear gas, it's not the order to shoot and kill, it is not arrest, it is dialogue.
Social media erupted with hashtags like Kenya protests and Ruto must go trending as Kenyans voiced their anger. Murkomen later backtracked, claiming his words were misinterpreted and rooted in law, citing the National Police Service Act. But for many, the damage was done. The directive came at a time when trust in the police was already at an all-time low, with reports of excessive force and civilian deaths piling up.
We should not encourage taking away of life in a way which is not constitutional.
Enter Raila Odinga, the veteran opposition leader and former Prime Minister. On June 29, 2025, during a church service in his hometown of Bondo, Siaya County, Raila didn't hold back. He condemned Murkomen's remarks as a direct threat to constitutional freedoms and a potential incitement to criminal behavior by state officials. He said, as I quote, "We have witnessed too much bloodshed in this country. People who had the right to protest, some of them died. Anyone giving instructions to a police officer to shoot someone who approaches a police station, we should not encourage taking away life in an unconstitutional way." End of quote.
And I'm saying this with all humility. I cannot order an Inspector General of Police
on anything because the Constitution denies me to do so. And I did not order the Inspector General or any police officer to carry out any extrajudicial anywhere. Your Excellency, what I did was to state the law. And as a lawyer, I have studied, read this law, and I understand what the law says. And what I told the police officers is, if you will not find me anywhere where I said somebody should be shot to be killed, you will not find me anywhere where I said that a police officer should take orders from myself. No. I restated the law and reminded them what the law says. And for the benefit of those, Your Excellency, who have been speaking out there, I want to read for them the National Police Service Act, Section 61(2), and Schedule, particularly Schedule 6B1. Your Excellency is very clear on the use of firearm. And I want to read it verbatim. It says, Your Excellency, that firearms may only be used when less extreme means are inadequate and for the following purposes. 1, saving or protecting the life of the officer or other persons. 2, in self-defense or in defense of other persons against the imminent threat of life or serious injury. C, protection of life and property through justifiable use of force. D, preventing a person charged with a felony from escaping lawful custody.
Raila's words were a powerful rebuke. He emphasized that the Constitution guarantees the right to protest under Article 37 and that police should protect, not attack, demonstrators. He called for accountability, insisting that anyone committing a crime, protester or police, should face justice in a court of law, not a bullet.
If somebody has committed a crime, that person should be subjected to law. Arrest that person and take him to a court of law, charge him, and let the court find him guilty and then sentence him. This is the civilized society. This is the society that we want today. And therefore, we condole with those people who have lost their loved ones. But at the same time, we condemn the criminals who deliberately went to destroy people's properties, burning courts, burning police stations. That is not a solution. So we must find a way as a country. This country, we need a proper way.
Raila also addressed the protesters, condemning those who resorted to violence and destruction of property, but his strongest words were reserved for Murkomen. Shame on you, he declared, accusing Interior Cabinet Secretary of undermining the rule of law and eroding public trust in law enforcement. This clash isn't just about one statement. It's about Kenya's struggle for justice, accountability, and the right to dissent. Raila Odinga, a long-time champion of democratic reforms, has himself faced police brutality during past protests. His alignment with President Ruto's government has been controversial, but his criticism of Murkomen shows he is still willing to call out action he sees as unjust. The June 25th protest exposed deep divides between Generation Z leaderless movement and traditional politics, and between calls for reform and the state's heavy-handed response. Human rights groups reported 19 deaths and 531 injuries during the protests, underscoring the high stakes of this debate.
Those ones we condemn in the strongest terms possible. But the same breath, we must also censor the police. The police should never ever shoot to kill. Police have no license to kill human beings.
As Kenya grapples with these tensions, the question remains, how will the government respond? Will Murkomen's directive lead more violence? Or will leaders like Raila Odinga push for accountability and dialogue? The Gen Z movement has shown that young Kenyans are ready to demand change, but they need a system that listens, not one that shoots. Raila's call for constitutional respect and legal accountability is a reminder that Kenya's democracy is hard-won. The path forward requires protecting the right to protest while ensuring justice for both victims of violence and those who abuse power. The clash between Raila Odinga and Kipchumba Murkomen is more than a political spat. It's a battle for Kenya's soul. Will the nation uphold its constitutional values, or will fear and force prevail? Share your thoughts in the comment section below.